It's June the 12th, one day beyond the official expiration of the 2017 budget. What are your thoughts at this time?
Well, it's no longer news that the Nigerian budget has become the center of the focus, the battleground between executive and legislative supremacy, fight for supremacy over the last 19 years. You know, just as a perspective, it takes average of 5 months from the start of the year, on the average over the last 19 years, for the budget to be budget to be considered, passed, and signed into law. In fact, the signing lag, that is the time it takes the budget to be passed by the National Assembly and hand over to the President to be signed. That is signing lag is 19 days on the average. We are counting, it's not yet 19 days this year. You know, so, but this is a sad development, and this report just decide to at least highlight some key implications, and the major implication is on economic growth. In our own mind, the naira and kobo lost in GDP due to delay in passing the budget is about 12%. That's about 56 billion US dollars on annual basis. And you know what that would have done for this economy.
From the perspective, okay.
When I saw the report, I thought it was really apt to make the point, because it does appear as though we've lost that sense of urgency to drive this economy out of recession. Now, we are obviously out of recession, but I think someone put it very, very well when he made the point that as long as economic growth is below population growth, then in a sense Nigeria is still in recession because poverty continues to grow. And your perspective about the lack of urgency we're seeing, we know that in a way this whole issue has now become somewhat political, but then again, the economy is really bearing the brunt of this.
Exactly, everybody bears the brunt, including the government, that want to put something in the face of Nigerians to be able to approach us in the electioneering campaign in the next few months. So we need to make it a national conversation that even if the economy tends to be running and the economic is growing for reasons we're not even active on, because this just oil price is higher than projected. You know, we happen to be pumping more than we used to pump, you know, so everything is good. But we're sitting on a keg of gunpowder if we're depending on oil to continue to power our economy. And you just said that Nigerian GDP is still far below our 3% growth, population growth. So technically, we are still not growing. So I think we have got to the point where the economic agents, the stakeholders, need to begin to ask questions. What is even the function, or what should be the role of the National Assembly and the executives in passing the budget? Can we clean up the process such that we have a legal and regulatory timelines for these two guys, and Nigeria will not just be, we can't be doing something noble or something first. You know, everywhere we know that on February 1 every year in US budget, the sitting president must hand over the budget to which date. We need to have a legal timeline or a constitutional timeline for that. How many days or months is it going to take these guys to consider the budget, no matter the anomaly, no matter the incompleteness or the error? How long will it take the president to put his payroll on the paper, no matter how bad the budget is? This needs to be legislated and passed, either as constitution or as law. Until we do that, everybody will still continue to use the budget as a bet, the way we've been seeing it.
As an economic watchdog that the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry is, what would you say when you look back at the fact that for over a year, it looked like early planning on for the 2018 budget, and then we're at this point still talking about delays? From the LCCI perspective, what would you say were the key factors that led the country here?
Like I said, the key factor is, I think, it is the gaps in our law and regulation. That is the reason. Today, we don't even know whether the role of the National Assembly in budget making and budget preparation. Are they budget making legislatures, or are they budget influencing legislatures? If the executive present a particular budget with their ideas and what they want to do, and it is materially altered like we've seen, are you still going to hold the same executive accountable that you have to implement that budget? So these are gaps that we don't have legal environment or legal context to really clean up and begin to ask questions. So that is why I say that the medium to long-term solution to all of this is we need to do something to our law with regards to the budget. But the immediate thing now is that at least let's try and respect the executive order passed last year by the, issued last year by the acting president then, now the vice president, on the timelines and what needs to be done in terms of budget passing and budget implementation. Because if you finally sign the budget somewhere in June, you want to implement the capital, implement everything between that July to December. There is what they call absorptive capacity in the economy, where you need to heat up the system. You want to tar all the road, do all the bridges, and award all the contracts at the same time. You give too much to the economy. Are we going to be able to absorb it? Our exchange rate, our inflation, so there is what they call heating up the economy. First quarter of the year, less than 1% of the budget, on the average, are implemented. Second quarter, less than about 5%, but last quarter, about 24%. So you see that our growth quarter to quarter is also relatively following this trend of